What's going on, guys? Cannabis Express 420 here. I want to talk about a couple of things to consider before you start your first grow. So we're going to get right into it. Thing number one, you're going to want to really research your genetics. It's going to be a really kick in the butt if you go through the long, strenuous process of patiently waiting for your plant to grow, looking at all of its expressions, looking at how it takes your training, looking at its terpene flavonoid profile, and really getting a good look at this plant with its flowering time and all of that stuff to make sure you're getting a plant that works well with your environment. Does it take heat well? Does it take cold well? Does it grow better in a humid environment? Does it not need as much humidity? These are things you're going to look for when you're looking at a genetic to grow, as well as characteristics you're going to like bud density, flavor, terpene profile, THC percentage. All of those things are going to be super important when you're looking for a cultivar that you want to grow. So first things first, really look into genetics and buy from a reputable breeder. There are a lot of breeders out there who will breed something and then it won't be stable, and then they'll send it out anyway, and it'll be low quality genetics, it'll be possibly low quality seed that won't even have a good germination ratio. So make sure you're looking and doing your homework, making sure you're getting the genetics you really want before you grow them. Second thing, you're going to be looking at environment. Now, what kind of environment are you going to be able to create, or what environment do you already have? And we're going to talk about both of those. So when it comes to creating environment, we're normally talking about indoors, where you can control everything from the humidity and the temperature. You can really get a good look on how these plants grow in a perfect environment, but that doesn't really help you when it comes to growing in the outdoor space. But when it comes to growing indoors, what you're really going to want to look out for is the cost and the ROI, or return on investment. So are you going to have the capability to grow a plant that fulfills your wildest dreams and is worth the hundreds of dollars that you're putting into an indoor grow to you? Or are you going to want to try growing outdoor first, where it's the cheaper option and you get a high ROI, assuming it works out and humidity doesn't get you and you don't get PM issues, you don't have to deal with pest issues that year? Really look at that. What's going to be most cost effective for you? What's going to give you the best ROI? What is going to be the best genetic to grow in the outdoor environment? Are you in Michigan, where it's super humid one day and then super dry the next? Or are you somewhere in like Texas, where you can pretty much count on it always being dry, or like Arizona, somewhere like that? So really keep an eye out on that. Keep an eye on what genetics are going to grow best in your environment, whether you're growing in a perfect environment or you're growing outdoors. Now, another thing you're going to want to pay attention to, a lot of people don't talk about, but you're going to want to know how your family feels about it. You can't exactly just jump in on this hobby and expect it to not take control of your life and not be a part of it for sure. So you're going to want to make sure your significant other is all about it and is cool with you growing and isn't going to destroy your setup. You're going to want to make sure that you have places that your kids, if you have them, aren't going to be able to get to your medication, as just like a medicine cabinet, keeping that locked up, or just basically keeping medications in a safe place. At the end of the day, it's a medication that kids should not be willy-nilly able to get to, unless of course they're prescribed to it, but normally that's with oils and edibles and stuff like that, of that nature, that aren't necessarily smoking. So keep an eye on your kids, make sure they're not getting into it, make sure your significant other is okay with it, and other than that, it doesn't really matter, because your extended family, you can kind of say fuck them. The thing you're going to want to look into when it comes to growing your own cannabis is the time investment. Now, it seems really fun. You go in for an hour 45, you do your garden, you maintain it, you water your plants, you train your plants, whatever you're doing on any given day, and then it comes to the trim time. And the trim time is the biggest investment, time-wise and effort-wise, you're going to be making into your plants. Now, it's hard to train your plants sometimes. They can snap if you don't take enough time, or it can be really hard to bend down branches, but that is nothing when it comes to the tedium of actually trimming your plants. You're going to be trimming weed for hours. And I know it sounds fun and it's like, holy, I got all this weed right now and wow, this is amazing and all that stuff, but that wears off in about an hour. And if you get a high yielding, good quality plant, you're going to be trimming for literal days if you do it by hand. Unless you get a bowl trimmer, then you can do a pound in a couple of hours. But a lot of people don't have the extra cash to just be throwing into a bowl trimmer. I know I don't right now, but you know, that'll be something for the future. So really keep an eye out on that. People are going to tell you that they'll trim with you, but 99% of the time, they're going to be helping you trim for about an hour, hour and a half. So you're going to get an extra like ounce or two, but that's not going to help you when you have a pound and a half to go and then you are stuck all alone. Again, depending on how big your plant is and how many you actually grow at a time, this could be the process that breaks any human being. So really keep an eye out on that. Are you really committed, or do you want to do it just to say you do it? So that is another thing to consider, because I don't want you guys to grow a bunch of weed and then waste it. I would much rather you buy from someone on the medical program, or honestly going to a quality dispo like Hikers Cannabis. But if you guys are new here and you like the cannabis tips, why don't you hit that like button and give me a little boost in the algorithm? And then why don't you hit that subscribe button for notifications every single time I upload? I would be glad to see you on my next video. Thank you very much.